Stop hoping your life will change. Stop wishing your bank account would grow. Stop praying for luck while you waste your time. Because wealth doesn't come to the hopeful. It comes to the calculators. Let that sink in. The rich aren't lucky. They're not chosen. They're measured. They count what you ignore. And they track what you waste. They measure what you hope will fix itself someday. You have been taught to believe that success is emotional. That if you just believe, if you just stay positive, one day things will work out. That's a lie. Wealth is not emotional. It's mathematical. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you count. Because what you measure, you master. And what you master, you multiply. So today, I'm not asking you to dream bigger. I'm asking you to calculate deeper. To replace hope with hard data. To replace wishes with numbers. To stop feeling rich and start thinking rich. Say it out loud with me. If you can't count it, you can't grow it. That's the rule. That's the difference between those who stay stuck and those who build empires. Chapter 1. Stop hoping. Start calculating. Hope is not a wealth strategy. Let me say that again. Hope is not a wealth strategy. The rich don't hope for money. They measure it. They calculate it. They control it. Wealth is not emotional. It's mathematical. Most people wake up every day and live on emotional math. They say, I hope this month will be better. I hope I'll earn more. I hope I'll save. But hope doesn't pay bills. Hope doesn't build assets. Hope doesn't buy freedom. Calculation does. You want to be rich? Then stop hoping and start counting. Count everything that matters. Your time, your output, your energy, your income. Because if you can't count it, you can't grow it. Say it out loud with me. If you can't count it, you can't grow it. That's the first rule of wealth. You see, rich people live by numbers, not emotions. They don't say, I feel like I'm doing enough. They say, I worked 10 hours. I produced $2,000 worth of value. My return on time was $200 per hour. They measure. They track. They adjust. Poor people guess. Wealthy people calculate. And the difference between guessing and calculating is the difference between broke and free. You have a choice. You can keep feeling your way through life, or you can start counting your way through life. You can keep hoping, or you can start calculating. Let's make this real. If I asked you right now, what's your exact income per hour? Could you tell me? Most can't. They know their salary, maybe their paycheck, but they don't know their value per hour. And if you don't know that, how can you improve it? Every hour you waste not knowing your numbers is an hour stolen from your future. Every unmeasured action is a missed opportunity. Stop living in the fog. Numbers bring clarity. And clarity creates confidence. Confidence builds control. Control builds wealth. That's the chain. That's the system. No guessing, no hoping. Just counting. Start tracking your reality. Write down your daily income. Write down your daily expenses. Track how many hours you give to your goals versus how many you give to distractions. You'll be shocked. You'll realize how much of your life is leaking away in small, invisible moments. Moments you never measured. You think you're working hard, but you're not measuring your output. You think you're saving money, but you're not tracking your spending. You think you're disciplined, but you're not auditing your time. That's why you're stuck. You're living emotionally, not mathematically. You have to build a habit of calculation. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's discipline. But discipline is the seed of every result you admire. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up before you touch your phone, before you scroll through distractions, ask yourself one question. What number will define my day? Will it be hours of work? Calls made? Sales closed? Words written? Videos created? Profit earned? Pick one number and dominate it. Measure it daily, weekly, monthly. Watch it rise. Because wealth isn't built by magic, it's built by math. Let me give you an example. There was a man who worked 10 hours a day and made $100. He thought, I'm doing okay. Then he measured his output. He realized his first 5 hours earned $90 and his last 5 earned $10. So he changed strategy, doubled down on what paid, cut what didn't. Within 3 months, his income tripled. What changed? Not his intelligence, not his luck, his calculation. He stopped guessing. He started measuring. If you can't count it, you can't grow it. Remember that. Repeat it. Live it. You see, your emotions lie, but your numbers tell the truth. Your feelings might say, I'm doing my best, but your bank balance might say otherwise. Your ego might say, I'm working hard, but your tracked hours might expose the truth. Numbers don't flatter. They don't lie. They reveal. And if you're serious about wealth, you need truth more than comfort. Comfort keeps you broke. Truth makes you rich, so start facing your numbers. Every uncomfortable one of them. Face your debt. Face your wasted hours. Face your lazy routines. Then fix them. You don't need more motivation. You need more measurement. Because what you measure, you can manage. And what you manage, you can multiply. The rich calculate everything. They know how much they make, how much they keep, how much they lose, and how much their time is worth. They know where every dollar goes. They know how every hour is spent. You can't copy their luck. You can't copy their past. But you can copy their system. And the system is simple. Measure, adjust, repeat. That's it. That's the blueprint of wealth. So, stop saying, I hope things get better. Start saying, I'm making things measurable. Stop saying, I feel like I'm improving. Start saying, I can prove I'm improving. This is your turning point. This is where emotion ends and execution begins. If you want freedom, you need figures. If you want control, you need clarity. If you want results, you need records. No more guessing. No more hoping. Count it. Count it. Count it. Because the one who counts controls. And the one who controls creates wealth. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, track every dollar you earn and every hour you spend. Write it down. Face it honestly. You'll see your habits in numbers, not excuses. That's how you start the journey from hoping to having. You don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need a business degree. You need discipline. You need focus. You need a calculator and courage. That's it. You've just taken the first step into the world of the wealthy, where emotion ends and mathematics begins. You're no longer a dreamer. You're a calculator. And from this moment on, every decision must be measured. Every move must be counted. Every hour must have value. You've learned how to stop hoping and start calculating. Now let's talk about what happens next, when you finally earn enough to want more, because earning means nothing if your desires are out of control. You've learned to count your money. Now it's time to count your wants. Now let's begin. Chapter 2. Earn first, then desire. You want more. More money. More comfort. More things. But here's the truth most people will never face. You want before you've earned. You spend before you've saved. You desire before you've delivered. And that's why you stay stuck. Most people live life backward. They start with desire. They start with I want. But the wealthy? They start with I earn. That's the rule. That's the separation line between broke and free. Earn first, then desire. Because when your desires lead, your discipline dies. When your discipline leads, your desires serve you. You have a choice, and it's a simple one. You can live ruled by your wants or ruled by your work. Think about it. The average person buys what they can't afford to impress people they don't know, with money they haven't earned. They reward themselves before they've built anything to reward. They buy comfort instead of building capacity, and then they complain about why they can't get ahead. But the wealthy, they do the opposite. They live under their means so they can grow beyond their limits. They delay reward so they can multiply return. They understand this one truth: desire is expensive when it comes before discipline. Let's get brutally honest. If you earn $1,000 and spend $200, you're not ambitious, you're reckless. If you buy before you build, you're not successful. You're self-sabotaging. You don't need another raise. You don't need another job. You need restraint. That's the key. Restraint. Because the real secret of wealth isn't income. It's control. Control over your emotions. Control over your wants. Control over your impulses. If you can't control yourself, you'll never control your wealth. Here's the mistake most people make. They think earning more will solve their problems. But if you can't manage $1,000, you won't manage $10,000, né? If you can't delay your wants when you're broke, you won't delay them when you're rich. Money doesn't make you disciplined. Money amplifies who you already are. If you're reckless with little, you'll be reckless with much. If you're patient with little, you'll multiply much. That's the law. That's how the game is played. Let me give you a story. A young man earns his first $5,000 from his business. What does he do? He celebrates. He buys new clothes, a new phone, takes a trip. And he calls it rewarding himself. But a wealthy mind thinks differently. He earns $5,000, reinvests $4,000, saves $500, and rewards himself with $500. That's not greed, that's governance. Because the first man wants pleasure. The second man wants power. And power always comes from patience. You don't need to punish yourself. You just need to postpone yourself. That's discipline, earn, then want. Never want before you earn. Every dollar you earn has a purpose. If you don't assign it, your emotions will. And emotions are terrible accountants. They'll tell you, you deserve this. They'll whisper, it's just one purchase. They'll convince you that comfort is the goal, when in truth, comfort is the cost. You have to become ruthless about your priorities. You have to separate reward from requirement. Earn first, then desire. If you want to buy something, prove it. Prove it by earning double its cost. Prove it by paying yourself first. Prove it by showing discipline before delight. That's how you build pride. That's how you build power. Let's talk about mindset. When poor people get money, they think, what can I buy? When rich people get money, they think, what can I build? The poor buy things that disappear. The rich build things that remain. That's the difference between consumption and creation. Consumption makes you dependent. Creation makes you free. So before you desire, ask yourself, am I buying to feel good or building to get great? It's not about denying your wants. It's about directing them. It's not about being cheap. It's about being strategic. Desire is not your enemy. Undisciplined desire is. So what do? Here's the blueprint. Step 1. Earn before you spend. Never use money you don't have. Debt is delayed pain. Step 2. Save before you reward. If you can't pay yourself first, you'll always work for someone else. Step 3. Reinvest before you relax. Turn your earnings into assets before turning them into indulgence. That's the system. That's the rhythm of the rich. They don't stop desiring. They just delay it until it's deserved. You need to build an internal rule. A personal law that says, I don't buy from emotion, I buy from results. When you want something, earn it twice. First financially, then mentally. If you want the car, build an income stream that pays for it. If you want the house, build assets that cover its cost. If you want luxury, let your business, not your paycheck, pay for it. Because when your money works for your wants, you're free. But when your wants work against your money, you're trapped. Earn first, then desire. And here's the hardest truth. You don't need more money. You need more maturity. Money follows maturity. It follows order. It follows structure. That's why millionaires don't rush into pleasure. They reinvest before they reward. They multiply before they indulge. They know every dollar spent today steals from tomorrow's freedom. So ask yourself right now, who's running your life? Your discipline or your desires? Your logic or your emotions? Your focus or your feelings? You have a choice. You can let your emotions spend your future, or let your discipline secure it. That's the difference between instant satisfaction and infinite growth. Remember this, every dollar you delay today is a dollar that compounds tomorrow. You're not saying no forever, you're saying not yet. And not yet is the language of the wealthy. So from this day forward, let your earnings rule your lifestyle, not your emotions. When you want something, earn it. When you crave something, count it. When you dream of something, deserve it. Because the order matters. Desire without earning destroys you. Earning before desire defines you. That's the key. That's the rule. That's the discipline. You have the power to build a life where every desire is funded by freedom, not desperation. You've learned to stop hoping and start calculating. Now, you've learned to earn before you desire. Next, we go deeper, into the mind itself. Because even when your habits align, your emotions can still derail your focus. And in the world of wealth, emotion is the biggest expense. You mastered your wants. Now it's time to master your focus. Chapter 3, Money Obeys Focus, Not Feelings. You've been told to follow your passion. You've been told to stay motivated. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Motivation is a liar. Motivation is a mood. Focus is a weapon. The rich don't chase motivation. They chase focus. Because money doesn't care how you feel. Money only responds to what you repeat. Say that again to yourself. Money obeys focus, not feelings. That's the key. That's the dividing line between the successful and the stuck. Motivation fades. Focus compounds. Every broke person you know has had motivation at some point. They got excited. They made plans. They posted quotes. But they didn't stay. Motivation burns fast. Focus builds slow. When you're motivated, you act with energy. When you're focused, you act with purpose. Motivation makes you start. Focus makes you finish. You don't need energy. You need direction. You don't need excitement. You need discipline. That's the secret every high performer learns. Feelings fade. Focus compounds. You can't build wealth on emotion because emotions reset every morning. But focus grows interest like a savings account. Every hour you stay locked in adds up. Every day you repeat your focus adds compound results. You have a choice. Chase what feels good for a day, or commit to what builds good for a decade. That's the difference between noise and legacy. The rich are ruthless about focus. You think the rich have more motivation than you? They don't. They have more clarity. They decide what matters and cut everything else. They don't scroll endlessly. They don't chase 10 projects at once. They don't get emotional when things move slow. They know exactly where their energy goes. And they defend it like treasure. Because focus is treasure. They understand something you don't. Distraction is the tax poor people pay for lack of direction. Read that again. Every time you get distracted, you're paying that tax with your time, your attention, and your potential. The rich are not smarter than you. They're not even necessarily more talented, but they're more focused. They know what they want. They measure progress. They don't let feelings vote. You feel tired, they still execute. You feel sad, they still execute. You feel uninspired, they still execute because they know it's not about mood, it's about mission. That's the key. And that's why money flows to them, not because they love what they do, but because they do it every single day with laser precision, whether they love it or not. Focus feeds fortune. Distraction destroys destiny. Every time you focus, you invest. Every time you get distracted, you lose interest. Literally. Money is a mirror. It reflects your habits back at you. If your habits are scattered, your income will be too. If your attention jumps from idea to idea, your bank balance will jump too, from 0 to 0. But when your mind is locked on one target, daily, hourly, obsessively, money has no choice but to obey. Because focus creates consistency, and consistency creates credibility. And credibility. That's currency. You have a choice. You can keep chasing new opportunities every week, or you can make one opportunity pay you for life. That's the law of wealth. It's not about feeling inspired. It's about becoming reliable. Remember this daily mantra. Focus feeds fortune. Distraction destroys destiny. Say it until you believe it. Say it until you live it. Because once focus becomes your religion, success becomes your default. You don't need motivation to wake up early. You need focus. You don't need motivation to save money. You need focus. You don't need motivation to build your brand. You need focus. Motivation screams. Focus whispers. Motivation fades. Focus multiplies. Motivation feels good. Focus does good. That's the transformation you must make. How to train focus. Like a muscle, focus is not a gift. It's a muscle. And like every muscle, it grows through repetition and resistance. Start with your environment. Cut noise. Silence distractions. Delete apps that drain your energy. If it doesn't move you forward, it moves you backward. There is no middle ground. Then, define your non-negotiables. What 3 things must you execute daily, no matter what? Lock them in. Guard them. That's your training ground. Lastly, track your time. Because time is the currency of focus. Where it goes, your life follows. You can't lie to yourself when you see the data. If you're spending more hours on entertainment than on execution, you already know why you're broke. The world rewards clarity, not chaos. And clarity comes from focus. Daily, brutal, disciplined focus. Emotion is expensive. Focus is free. Here's the hard truth. Every time you act on emotion, you pay for it. You buy something you didn't need. You quit something too soon. You lose consistency. Emotion is expensive. Focus is free. The rich don't let their day depend on how they feel when they wake up. They decide once and repeat forever. That's the secret. That's the formula. That's why they win, and you can do the same. You don't need their resources. You just need their rhythm. You don't need their luck. You need their focus. Because in the end, it's not about feeling ready. It's about staying ready. That's the discipline. That's the difference. That's the destiny. Money doesn't follow emotion. It follows execution. Focus is the currency that multiplies every other resource you have. Now that you understand that truth, it's time to take it deeper. You've trained your focus. You've stopped chasing feelings. Now let's talk about the one force that multiplies your results even when you're asleep. The principle the rich guard with obsession. Chapter 4. Escape the comfort trap. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels warm. Comfort feels right, but comfort is a trap. It's the invisible chain that keeps people poor. You don't see it. You don't feel it. You think you're resting, but you're rotting. The truth is simple. Every financial breakthrough begins with discomfort. Every level up starts with a burn. If it feels easy, you're not growing. If it burns, you're building. That's the rule. That's the law. Comfort is the most dangerous addiction. Most people aren't addicted to failure. They're addicted to comfort. They crave predictability. They worship routine. They call it stability, but it's really stagnation. Comfort doesn't feel like a cage, but it is. You wake up in the same place. You talk to the same people. You think the same thoughts. And then you wonder why your life never changes. You say, I want freedom. But freedom and comfort can't live in the same room. Freedom demands discomfort. Freedom requires risk. Freedom costs courage. That's the key. And that's what the comfortable never understand. Because comfort whispers, you're fine. It lies. It tells you that you can wait. It tells you that your time will come. But time doesn't come. You go to it. You have a choice. Stay where it's soft and predictable. Or step into the heat and start building something real. Discomfort is the price of wealth. You cannot have wealth without pressure. You cannot have growth without risk. Every rich person you admire, every name you know, paid a price in discomfort. They were rejected. They were laughed at. They were broke before they were rich, but they stayed in the fire. They didn't run back to comfort. That's the secret. Comfort gives you short-term peace, but long-term pain. Discomfort gives you short-term pain, but lifelong power. You have to choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of risk or the pain of routine. There's no avoiding pain. There's only choosing which pain pays you. That's the key. Because here's what most people do. They chase what feels easy. They avoid what feels heavy. And then they spend decades wondering why nothing changes. Comfort doesn't reward you. It robs you. It steals your urgency. It kills your hunger. It replaces your mission with maintenance. And once that happens, you're done. The biology of comfort your brain is wired for survival, not success. It will always try to pull you back to safety, to the known, to the familiar, to the predictable. That's biology, but wealth requires rebellion against biology. You must override comfort. You must reprogram your instincts. You must teach your brain that risk is not danger. It's direction. When your mind says, this feels scary, what it's really saying is, this is growth. That's your signal. That's the difference between winners and watchers. Watchers retreat when it burns. Winners push harder. Every new skill, every business, every investment starts with fear and confusion. That's normal. That's necessary. Because discomfort is the gym where discipline is built. If it's easy, you're coasting. If it's hard, you're changing. Remember, comfort never creates competence. Real-world example. The reinvestor's mindset. Let's take an example. Two people earn the same income. One spends it on comfort. New clothes, new gadgets, new dopamine hits. The other reinvests it into skills, into assets, into systems. Guess who wins in 5 years? The one who delayed comfort. The one who said no to right now and yes to one day. The one who let discomfort build his future. Millionaires reinvest before they reward themselves. They know comfort kills hunger. They understand. If you feed comfort, you starve growth. That's the mindset shift. Stop buying peace with your potential. Comfort is the currency of the average. Discomfort is the currency of the exceptional. Which one are you trading in? 5. How to escape the comfort trap. You can't break comfort with wishful thinking. You break it with action? Here's how. Step 1. Seek friction daily. Do one thing that feels uncomfortable every day. Make that your new comfort zone. Talk to someone intimidating. Learn a skill that scares you. Speak up where you'd normally stay silent. Every act of courage compounds. Discomfort grows capacity. Step 2. Audit your environment. Look around you. Are you surrounded by people who challenge you or comfort you? Your circle predicts your ceiling. If everyone around you settles, you will too. Get around builders. Get around people who make you uncomfortable with their standards. That's how you level up. Step 3. Reframe the pain. Stop calling it hard. Call it building. Stop calling it failure. Call it feedback. Stop calling it suffering. Call it strength training. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. That's the truth. Comfort is silent. Death. Most people don't die from failure. They die from comfort. Slowly, quietly, without realizing it. Their dreams fade. Their drive disappears. They start existing instead of living. You don't have to be one of them. You have a choice. Step into the burn. Stay there. Build there. Because the fire that scares you today is forging the version of you that wins tomorrow. You don't need anyone's permission to grow. You don't need anyone's validation to change. You just need to decide that comfort is not your goal. Growth is. That's the decision that separates the great from the good, the rich from the rest. If it burns, you're building. Make that your mantra. Repeat it every time you feel resistance. If it burns, I'm building. If it burns, I'm growing. If it burns, I'm becoming someone new. That's not pain. That's progress. That's not punishment. That's purpose. The path to wealth isn't smooth. It's steep, it's hot, it's uncomfortable. And that's why it works. If it feels easy, everyone would do it. If it feels safe, everyone would win. But everyone doesn't win because everyone doesn't endure. Endure the burn. Stay in the fire. That's where the transformation happens. You've broken the illusion of comfort. You've understood that pain is not your enemy. It's your entry point to power. Now that you've escaped the comfort trap, you're ready for the next level. The discipline that separates the busy from the wealthy. You've learned to burn. Now it's time to build. Chapter 5. Build systems, not wishes. Everyone talks about discipline. Everyone says, be consistent. Stay focused. Don't give up. But here's the truth. Discipline without systems will always collapse. Because willpower is weak. Motivation fades. Emotion changes daily. The rich don't depend on motivation. They design control. They don't wish for discipline. They build systems. That's the difference. That's the key. That's why they win. The myth of endless motivation. You've been told to stay disciplined. But discipline alone is like a battery. It drains. You wake up strong for a few days. You set goals. You make promises. Then life happens. Distractions hit. Energy drops. The plan dies. It's not that you're lazy. It's that your system is missing. Winners understand this. It's not about how long you can stay motivated. It's about how well your environment keeps you consistent. They design their lives to make success automatic. Their calendar works for them. Their habits execute for them. Their focus flows through systems, not through moods. The poor say, I'll try harder. The rich say, I'll build smarter. Because trying harder is emotion. Building smarter is structure. You have a choice. Keep fighting your feelings. Or create systems that make feelings irrelevant. Systems make discipline. Automatic system is simply this. A repeatable structure that produces predictable results. That's it. No magic, no secrets. Systems turn chaos into clarity. They turn decision fatigue into automation. The rich know this. They automate bills. They schedule habits. They track every number automatically. Because they understand. If it's not automated, it's accidental. And wealth can't be accidental. Let's take a simple example. You want to save money. The average person plans to save at the end of the month, if anything's left. The rich automate savings at the start of the month, before temptation touches it. That's not luck. That's a system. A small change in structure becomes a massive change in results. They don't rely on reminders. They rely on design. That's why the mantra of this chapter is simple. Don't wish for control. Design it. 4. Design beats. Desire without design is delusion. You can want a better life all you want, but until you build a system to produce it, nothing changes. You don't need more passion. You need more process. Every successful person you see, from entrepreneurs to athletes, runs on process. They've built rituals that remove randomness. They don't wake up and ask, "What should I do today?" They wake up and follow their system. They don't need motivation to work out. It's scheduled. They don't need motivation to read. It's in their morning routine. They don't need motivation to invest. It's automated. That's the power of design. When you design your environment, you design your destiny. Because it's not about discipline anymore. It's about default. The 3 pillars of a strong system. If you want your life to work like the wealthy, build systems around 3 pillars. Environment. Make your surroundings force your habits. Remove friction for good habits. Add friction for bad ones. If you want to eat clean, don't stock junk food. If you want to work, remove distractions. You don't need more self-control. You need less temptation. That's design. 2. Routine. Make your days predictable so your results can be exceptional. Wake up at the same time. Do your key tasks at the same hour. Repeat until it's muscle memory. A boring routine builds an exciting life. Automation. Let systems handle what your emotions can't. Automate your money. Automate your learning. Automate your focus through scheduling, tracking, and time blocking. The less you have to decide, the more you'll do. That's the formula, because your success shouldn't depend on how you feel. It should depend on what you've built. Replace willpower with architecture you. Don't need to fight your nature. You need to design around it. If you procrastinate, build deadlines that hurt. If you waste time, schedule your day the night before. If you forget tasks, use reminders and automation tools. Stop fighting yourself. Start engineering yourself. It's not about fixing flaws. It's about replacing them with frameworks. You can't out-discipline distraction, but you can out-design it. Because the truth is, systems are stronger than emotions. Structure is stronger than willpower. And design is stronger than desire. That's the key. Wick. Systems compound. Wishes expire. Every day you repeat a system, it compounds. Every day you rely on a wish, it expires. Systems grow quietly. Wishes die silently. That's why the rich never wait for someday. They create systems that turn someday into every day. You don't need to believe in luck. You need to believe in loops, the things you do daily that guarantee growth. A system turns effort into results, automatically. It's the compound interest of discipline. That's why the poor hustle in bursts, while the rich flow forever. Because the poor rely on energy. The rich rely on engineering. You have a choice. You can chase dopamine, or you can design discipline. One fades. One builds. 7. How to start building systems today. Here's how you begin. Step by step. Step 1. Identify repetition. What do you do daily, weekly, monthly? Track it. If it happens more than twice, automate or structure it. Step 2. Set triggers. Link new habits to old ones. After coffee, read. After gym, write. After work, review finances. Turn random actions into rituals. Step 3. Create accountability. Track progress visibly. Use dashboards, charts, lists. Make it impossible to lie to yourself. Step 4. Review and refine. Every system breaks over time. Review weekly. Refine monthly. Rebuild yearly. That's how you scale without burning out. You don't build systems once. You evolve them forever. That's how you make discipline permanent. Systems make freedom possible. Here's the paradox. The more structure you have, the more freedom you gain. The poor think systems limit them. The rich know systems liberate them. Because when your habits run on autopilot, your mind is free to create, to grow, to lead. Systems don't trap you. They protect you. They protect your time. They protect your energy. They protect your purpose. Freedom without systems is chaos. Systems without freedom is slavery. The goal is to balance both. And the rich have mastered that. That's the secret formula. Stop wishing for discipline. Build it. Stop waiting for control. Design it. Because systems are the invisible scaffolding of wealth. You've built the foundation. You've designed the structure. Now it's time to learn the principle that makes those systems unstoppable. The one force that multiplies every system you've built. Chapter 6. The Power of Consistency. Repetition builds reputation. Chapter 6. Learn to think in decades, not days. You want to know the real reason most people never build wealth? It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they think in days, not decades. They want instant validation, instant progress, instant reward. They want the $1 million life. On a 10-minute mindset. Listen carefully. Wealth doesn't reward the fast. Wealth rewards the patient. Wealth rewards the one who can plant seeds today and water them daily, even when there's no sign of growth. That's the secret. The rich think in decades. The poor panic in days. You have a choice. Panic or plan. That's the key. The poverty of short-term thinking. Every broke person has one thing in common. Short-term obsession. They chase quick hits. They jump from idea to idea. They need excitement, and excitement is expensive. They trade the long game for the fast game. They chase dopamine, not discipline. And dopamine destroys wealth. You've seen it. People who invest today and sell next week. People who start a business, hit a small roadblock, and quit. People who can't commit to a 5-year journey because they need a 5-day result. That's not a money problem. That's a mindset problem. You don't need more opportunities. You need more patience. The impatient destroy what the patient are quietly building. The impatient mock the builder until the builder wins. Because here's the truth. Delayed gratification is the foundation of every fortune. The discipline of decade thinking. The average person thinks in 24 hours. The extraordinary person thinks in 24 years. When you zoom out, you stop reacting. You stop chasing shiny objects. You start building pillars. Millionaires don't measure their life by weeks. They measure by eras. They ask, what can I build in the next 10 years? How will this decision age over time? They don't ask, will it work this week? They ask, will it still matter in a decade? That's long-term thinking. That's wealth thinking. Because when you think in decades, you make different moves. You say no more often. You avoid drama. You invest in your mind. You choose consistency over chaos. The decade thinker doesn't panic when the market dips. He sees it as a discount. He doesn't complain about slow progress. He celebrates steady progress. Because he knows every empire is built brick by brick, not post by post. You don't need to be fast. You need to be consistent. That's the difference between the broke and the wealthy. The broke look at the clock. The wealthy look at the calendar. Real-world proof? Look at Warren Buffett. He didn't become a billionaire at 30. He became one after decades of compound focus. Look at Jeff Bezos. Amazon didn't explode in a year. It was a slow, relentless march of 10,000 small wins over 20 years. Even in fitness, the same law applies. The person who works out for 10 years always outperforms the person who trains for 10 days. Because the principle never changes. Think long. Act daily. Wait wisely. Say that again. Think long. Act daily. Wait wisely. That's not just a phrase. That's a lifestyle. You can't microwave mastery. You can't fast forward through failure. You can't skip the seasons of struggle. Every seed you plant today needs time. And time doesn't care about your feelings. How to train yourself to think long-term. So, how do you escape the short-term trap? You build systems of patience. Number 1, write a 10-year vision. Where do you want your life to be in 10 years? Not 10 weeks? Get specific. Describe it like it already exists. Then, reverse engineer it into daily action. Ask yourself, what one thing can I do today that my future self will thank me for? Not what will make me feel good today. What will make me stronger tomorrow? Next, avoid emotional decisions. Every time you feel rushed, step back. Take a breath. Ask, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, don't act. Because urgency kills vision. You don't need to react. You need to respond with wisdom. Finally, celebrate patience. Reward yourself for staying consistent, not just for winning. That's how you rewire your brain for long-term success. You're not losing time by waiting. You're gaining leverage by preparing. Remember this: every overnight success took 10 years of unseen work. The real reason people fail, most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they expire too early. They run fast for a week, then quit for a month. They mistake boredom for failure. They confuse delay with denial. And they forget that time is the only multiplier that never loses value. It's not about passion. It's about patience. It's not about hype. It's about habits. That's the key. Your future is shaped by how long you can stay focused after the excitement dies. You don't need more motivation. You need maturity. Maturity says, I'll do it today, even if it won't pay off for years. That's the mindset that separates the dreamers from the doers. You have a choice. You can chase quick highs or build quiet empires. The world doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency. The long game is the only game. Let's make it simple. Every decision you make either builds the decade or breaks it. Every habit, every investment, every relationship, they all compound. You're not just living today. You're building your 2035 self. So start asking decade-level questions. Will this habit make me proud 10 years from now? Will this investment buy me time or steal it? Will this relationship fuel my vision or drain my focus? Think long. Act daily. Wait wisely. That's your new mantra. When you think in decades, you stop competing. You start creating. Because patience kills competition, nobody can outwait the focused. You've now learned how to stretch your vision. You've learned how to slow down your thinking while speeding up your consistency. That's how wealth is built. Not in a day, but in a decade. Now, let's move to the next foundation of wealth. Because long-term vision is useless without emotional control. You can't master money until you master your reactions. You learned to think long. Now it's time to stay calm under pressure. Chapter 7. Multiply, don't manage. Let's get one thing straight. You don't get rich by managing money. You get rich by multiplying it. The middle class manages. The wealthy multiply. The middle class budgets, cuts, and fears loss. The wealthy build, expand, and play offense. You've been told your whole life to manage your money. But managing is surviving. Multiplying is thriving. So listen carefully. If you keep trying to save your way to wealth, you'll die counting pennies instead of creating power. Because the truth is simple. You cannot save your way to freedom. You can only multiply your way there. Stop managing. Start multiplying. That's the key. The difference between managing and multiplying. Managing is about control. Multiplying is about creation. When you manage, you're protecting what little you have. When you multiply, you're using what you have to create more. The middle class asks, how can I make sure I don't lose this? The wealthy ask, how can I make this produce more? See the difference? It's not about money. It's about mindset. Managers live in fear. Multipliers live in faith. Managers think in limits. Multipliers think in leverage. You have a choice. You can play small and keep your balance safe. Or you can play smart and make your balance grow. That's the game. The power of leverage is how you escape the trap of time for money. It's how you make your money and your mind work for you. The poor sell time. The middle class save time. The wealthy buy time. How? They use leverage. They use assets, things that earn while they sleep. They use people, teams, talent, partnerships. They use systems, automation, delegation, replication. Leverage is the invisible hand of wealth. It takes effort once and multiplies it forever. Here's the rule. If you have to show up for it to grow, it's not leverage, it's labor, and labor has limits. Leverage doesn't. That's why the wealthy own systems, not schedules. They build things that scale without their constant presence. You don't need more hours. You need multipliers. Real-world example. Think about this. 2 people earn $5,000 a month. One saves $500. The other invests $500 into a skill, a business, or an asset. Who wins in 10 years? The saver protects their money. The investor multiplies it. The saver hides from risk. The investor studies risk. That's the difference between managing and multiplying. Warren Buffett didn't get rich clipping coupons. He got rich compounding capital. You're not supposed to live your whole life trying not to lose. You're supposed to learn how to win bigger. You have to stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I never grow?" Because safety has a price, and the cost is your potential. The multiplication formula. Let's simplify the process. Multiplication has 3 rules. Learn. Leverage. Let it compound. Learn. You must learn a skill that earns. Your brain is your first asset. The more valuable you become, the more you can multiply. Learn something that can be sold, scaled, or systemized. Leverage. Once you've mastered the skill, build systems. Systems save you from repetition. Automate, delegate, or replicate your effort. That's how your work turns into wealth. Let it compound. Don't touch it too soon. Compounding is slow, then sudden. Give your growth time. The poor want immediate return. The wealthy want infinite return. You have a choice. Be impatient and stay stuck, or be disciplined and scale up. Replace control with creation managers fear losing control. Multipliers focus on creating momentum. Stop counting. Start creating. Stop protecting. Start producing. Every time you micromanage your finances, you shrink your future. Every time you reinvest your finances, you expand your future. You don't need to know everything before you act. You just need to act intelligently and repeatedly. That's the key. Repetition builds multiplication. Think about McDonald's. It's not the best burger. It's the best system. Think about Netflix. They didn't make one movie. They built a model that scales across millions. That's what multiplication looks like. You don't chase one result. You build the machine that delivers results forever. That's wealth thinking. The psychological shift. Let's get personal. When you think like a manager, you live in scarcity. You believe there's never enough. Money, time, opportunity. When you think like a multiplier, you live in expansion. You believe that value creates value, and growth is limitless. Scarcity is fear. Abundance is faith. It's not about greed. It's about growth. You don't need their permission to expand. You don't need the perfect moment to invest. You just need to start thinking bigger. Here's a simple test. If a decision only helps you survive this month, it's management. If it helps you grow for years, it's multiplication. That's how you evaluate everything: time, money, energy, relationships. Ask yourself daily, is this multiplying my life or managing my comfort? That one question can change everything. What to do? Starting today, audit your income streams. How many of them depend solely on your effort? Those are fragile. Build streams that run without you. Invest in scalable assets. Start small. Digital skills, rental property, a product, a service that repeats. Don't just earn. Build engines that earn for you. Detach from perfection. Multipliers move fast and fix later. Managers wait for the perfect plan and never start. Use your time as capital. Every hour you spend building systems is worth 100 hours later. Stop wasting time saving time. Start using time to buy freedom. Remember, you can't multiply what you don't start. Stop managing your comfort. Start managing your creation. That's how wealth begins. One decision at a time. The middle class fears risk. The wealthy fear stagnation. The middle class works for money. The wealthy make money work for them. The middle class manages. The wealthy multiply. You have a choice. You can stay busy controlling your coins, or you can build systems that create empires. Stop managing. Start multiplying. That's the mantra. That's the movement. That's how you escape financial gravity. You've learned to multiply, not just manage. You've learned to make your time and money produce more of themselves. But wealth without control is chaos. You can build empires and lose them overnight if you can't master your emotions. So let's go deeper. You've multiplied your money. Now, it's time to multiply your mind. Chapter 8. Reject the poor mindset around you. Poverty is not just a lack of money. It's a lack of mindset. It's a virus, and it spreads through conversations, habits, and low expectations. You catch it when you spend too long around people who normalize mediocrity. You catch it when you listen to people who celebrate victimhood instead of victory. You catch it when you start believing that your circumstances define your ceiling. Understand this. Poverty is contagious. But so is wealth. So is growth. So is hunger. That's why your environment isn't neutral. It's either pulling you up or dragging you down. You can't build a millionaire mindset surrounded by minimum effort people. You can't think expansion when everyone around you is addicted to excuses. You can't grow when your circle worships comfort. You have a choice. You can keep trying to save everyone, or you can save yourself first. You can keep explaining your ambition to small minds, or you can surround yourself with people who understand it instinctively. That's the key. Look around your life. Audit your circle. Who do you talk to the most? What do they talk about? Are they discussing ideas or gossip? Are they chasing opportunity or chasing distraction? The truth will tell you everything you need to know about where you're heading. If you're always surrounded by people who complain, soon you'll start complaining too. If you're always around people who settle, you'll find yourself negotiating with your own potential. You have a choice. You either rise with the committed or rot with the comfortable. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You're not better than anyone, but you're built for something more. And if you stay in an environment that rewards laziness and punishes drive, you'll suffocate your own fire. You cannot rise surrounded by people who normalize falling. Say that again. You cannot rise surrounded by people who normalize falling. If your friends make fun of your goals, you're in the wrong room. If your coworkers spend more time complaining about the boss than working on themselves, you're in the wrong room. If your family tells you to be realistic when you talk about dreams, you're in the wrong room. The poor mindset doesn't just talk differently, it thinks differently. It waits for rescue. It avoids responsibility. It believes success is luck instead of discipline. You can't afford that infection. Not if you plan to build something real. You don't need their permission to outgrow them. You don't need their validation to move forward. You don't even need to prove them wrong. You just need to keep walking. Because every time you try to bring everyone with you, you slow down. Every time you stop to argue with small minds, you lose time. Every time you apologize for wanting more, you step backward. And let me be clear, this doesn't mean you look down on anyone. It means you protect your focus. Here's what you do. Start by identifying your energy thieves. These are the people who drain your drive, the ones who complain, criticize, or constantly talk about what can't be done. Limit your time with them. Not out of hate, but out of self-respect. Then, find people who elevate you. They don't need to be rich. They just need to think like builders, not beggars. They take ownership. They take action. They talk in terms of solutions. That's who you need to be around. If you can't find them in person, find them in books, in podcasts, in mentors online. Surround yourself with new voices until your old ones fade into background noise. You become who you listen to. You become what you consume. So feed your mind what you want your life to reflect. That's the key. Stop romanticizing struggle. Stop glorifying hustle with no results. Stop bonding over brokenness. The poor mindset celebrates survival. The growth mindset celebrates evolution. One says, "At least I tried." The other says, "I'll try again until it works." One says, "It's not fair." The other says, "It's my responsibility." Which one are you choosing? You have a choice. Every day you wake up, you choose which mindset to feed. If you feed weakness, you'll starve potential. If you feed discipline, you'll starve excuses. The difference between a rich and poor life is rarely talent. It's tolerance. Rich thinkers don't tolerate negativity. Rich thinkers don't tolerate stagnation. Rich thinkers don't tolerate people who drain their drive. You shouldn't either. Because every second you spend explaining your purpose to people who don't care about progress, you betray your own destiny. Here's what most people won't tell you. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if your surroundings are toxic, it will rot your ambition from the inside out. That's why you must create separation. Physical, mental, emotional separation. If that means less time on the group chat, do it. If that means weekends alone working on your craft, do it. If that means saying no more than yes, do it. You don't owe anyone access to your energy. And the moment you understand that, you start living differently. You start protecting your space like your future depends on it, because it does. Let me say this clearly. You cannot build abundance in a poverty environment. You cannot grow ambition in a culture of excuses. You cannot live free in a cage built by small minds. So stop apologizing for leaving people behind. Stop explaining why you're different. Stop waiting for their blessing to move forward. You don't need their permission. You need your purpose. You need your plan. You need your discipline. That's the key. Reject the poor mindset around you, in your circle, in your thoughts, in your habits. Replace it with a builder's mindset, a doer's mindset, a winner's mindset, and watch how your world changes. Because the moment you raise your standard, your environment will either rise with you or fall away. That's how transformation happens. Not in theory, but in the company you keep. You have a choice. Stay surrounded by excuses or surround yourself with excellence. You already know which one leads to freedom. You've rejected fear. Now, reject the poor mindset that feeds it. Because when you do, you stop surviving and start living. You're not here to fit in. You're here to rise. And that rise begins with who stands beside you. Chapter 9. Build assets that speak while you sleep. Money doesn't sleep, but most people do. And while they sleep, their bills don't stop. Their rent doesn't stop. Their problems don't stop. That's why the average person wakes up tired. Not just physically, but financially. Because they're trapped in the oldest lie in the world. Trade time for money, and you'll be safe. No, that's not safety. That's slavery with a smile. It's the illusion of security, while your life quietly leaks away in hours, shifts, and pay periods. You wake up, work, get paid, spend, repeat. The treadmill turns, but you don't move forward. Time-based income is a beautiful cage. It looks stable. It feels predictable. But it's built on sand. The second you stop working, the money stops coming. That's not wealth. That's dependency. You have a choice. You can keep trading hours for dollars, or you can start building assets that earn while you rest. That's the key. Let's get one thing straight. Freedom doesn't come from having money. It comes from control. And the only real control in life comes from having systems that work for you, not you working for them. You need assets that speak while you sleep, assets that don't ask for permission to perform, assets that grow quietly, automatically, relentlessly. Whether you're awake or not, it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter, sooner, and longer term. The rich don't get rich by working more hours. They get rich by multiplying the impact of every hour through leverage. They build once. They earn forever. That's the mindset you need to develop. So what does an asset really mean? An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket without needing your constant presence. A rental property is an asset. A business that runs on systems is an asset. Digital content that earns while you sleep is an asset. A dividend stock portfolio is an asset. A book, a course, a channel, an app, a brand, assets. They all have one thing in common. Leverage. They separate your time from your income. That's the line between the worker and the builder. The worker sells time. The builder sells value that lasts beyond the clock. You have a choice. You can stay the worker forever, or you can start building like a builder today. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. They don't actually want freedom. They want comfort disguised as freedom. They say they want passive income, but they're not willing to endure the active grind it takes to build it. They want the reward without the repetition. That's not how it works. You don't get rich overnight. You get rich over time, by making the right decisions over and over again. You sacrifice now so your future self can rest later. It's not about luck. It's about leverage. It's not about talent. It's about systems. It's not about money. It's about discipline. That's the key. Let's make it practical. If you want to build assets that speak while you sleep, here's what you must do. Step 1. Identify what you can create once and sell forever. That could be digital products, courses, designs, templates, or even ideas. The internet is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your background. It cares about your consistency. Step 2. Build systems, not stress. Automation is your best friend. Schedule posts, delegate tasks, document processes, use technology. Every tool that saves you time is buying your freedom back. Step 3. Learn to invest. Not gamble. Invest. Understand how money works. Learn what compounds. Learn how dividends pay. Learn why assets grow while liabilities shrink your life. And finally, step 4. Protect your assets. Don't spend your seeds. Reinvest them. Build layers of income, not piles of bills. That's the game. That's the blueprint. And here's the paradox. The hardest work you'll ever do is creating a life where you no longer have to work hard. People see wealth and call it luck, but they never saw the years of invisible effort that built the foundation. When you build an asset, you're planting trees that grow money. And the only reason most people stay broke is because they keep eating their seeds instead of planting them. Stop consuming. Start constructing. You don't need permission to build something that works for you. You don't need a degree, or a title, or validation. You just need to start. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you sleep richer than you woke up. That's the rule. Now let's address the mindset trap that kills most potential builders: impatience. Everyone wants quick results. Everyone wants passive income after 1 month of effort. But building assets is like building muscle: slow, painful, consistent. It's not about excitement. It's about endurance. You don't win by intensity. You win by consistency. Keep showing up. Keep building systems. Keep reinvesting. The world doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the most committed. You have a choice. You can chase money, or you can build wealth. One dies with your last paycheck. The other lives forever. That's the key. Let's get real. If your income stops when you stop, you're one accident away from disaster. That's not security. That's a time bomb. You must build something that outlasts your effort. You must create leverage, because when you're old, tired, or done, your assets will still be working. They'll still be generating. They'll still be speaking while you sleep. That's real freedom. That's real wealth. When you wake up richer than you went to bed, you're no longer surviving. You're sovereign. You're no longer earning money. You're commanding it. That's the shift. And the moment you make that shift, your relationship with time changes. You stop asking, how much can I make today? And start asking, what can I build today that pays me forever? That's the new question. That's the new life. You have a choice. Keep chasing temporary paychecks, or start constructing permanent prosperity. Keep working for others' dreams, or build your own financial engine. The poor mindset lives for payday. The builder mindset lives for legacy, and legacy is built one asset at a time. So, stop thinking in hours. Start thinking in systems. Stop asking for more money. Start creating more leverage. You're not supposed to work until you die. You're supposed to build until you're free. That's the mission. Sleep richer than you woke up. Every night, every week, every year. Because the goal isn't just to earn. The goal is to own. And ownership starts today. You've learned to build assets that work while you rest. Now, let's explore the most underestimated power in success: silence. Chapter 10. Protect, teach, and pass it on. You worked for it. You sacrificed for it. You fought through fear, through failure, through fatigue, and you built something real. Now comes the hardest part: not earning it, not growing it, but keeping it. Because true wealth isn't what you collect, it's what you continue. The mission doesn't end when you make money. The mission begins when you protect it, teach it, and pass it on. That's the next level. That's the real legacy. You have a choice. You can be a consumer of your own success, or a custodian of your generation's future. That's the key. Here's a truth most people never understand. Wealth without wisdom destroys faster than poverty ever could. That's why the first rule of real success is protection. You don't just make money, you guard it. You don't just grow wealth, you defend it. Because once you rise, the world changes around you. More eyes on you, more hands reaching for what you built, more noise trying to pull you off your mission. You must become your own gatekeeper. Protect your money with structure. Protect your peace with boundaries. Protect your purpose with focus. Because if you can't protect it, you can't preserve it. And if you can't preserve it, you can't pass it on, earn it. Guard it, pass it on. That's not just a phrase. That's a framework for life. Let's talk about what protection really means. Protection isn't hiding your money. It's organizing it. It's having systems that tell your money where to go before emotion tells it what to do. Most people lose wealth not because of bad luck, but because of bad structure. They buy more than they build. They spend before they invest. They chase pleasure before security. You're not rich when you can buy more. You're rich when you can lose nothing and still stand strong. That's the test. You protect wealth through clarity, knowing your numbers, tracking your habits, controlling your impulses. You protect it through discipline, setting budgets, building buffers, saying no when everyone else says yes. You protect it through diversification, making sure no single failure can take you out. It's not about fear. It's about foresight. The goal isn't just to have money. The goal is to have control. Because control is the highest currency of freedom. But protection alone isn't enough. You must also teach. Teach what you've learned. Teach what nearly broke you. Teach what finally built you. Because wealth that dies with you is wasted potential. You're not meant to be a vault. You're meant to be a vessel. You don't need $1 billion business to be a teacher. You just need scars and sense. Share your knowledge. Mentor your circle. Guide someone who's where you once were. Because every time you teach, you multiply your impact. Every lesson you pass on becomes an invisible asset, one that grows in the minds of others. You have a choice. Keep your wisdom for yourself or plant it in others who will carry it further. That's the key. And let's be clear, teaching doesn't mean preaching. It means living. People learn more from your discipline than your dialogue, more from your example than your explanation. If you live with consistency, you teach consistency. If you live with integrity, you teach integrity. If you live with purpose, you teach purpose. You are the curriculum. Your life is the lesson. So protect your name like you protect your money. Because one carries your wealth, but the other carries your legacy. Now the final step, pass it on. Passing it on doesn't just mean inheritance. It means transfer of mindset. Too many people pass down money, but not meaning. They give the result, but not the reason. They hand over the fruit, but never explain the root. That's why so many generational fortunes fade in 1 or 2 generations. They built income, but not instruction. They built assets, but not awareness. The next generation doesn't need your money as much as they need your mentality. Teach them the game. Show them how to think. Help them understand that wealth isn't about buying. It's about building. Show them that freedom isn't inherited. It's earned and protected daily. That's how legacies last. That's how you create continuity, not just cash. There's a reason empires fall. It's not enemies. It's entitlement. When the next generation grows up comfortable, they stop fighting for what the first generation bled for. They forget the lessons. They lose the hunger. That's why you must embed the discipline, not just the dollars. Make it part of your family culture. Teach the value of effort, not entitlement. Teach respect for money, not worship of it. Because if they don't learn discipline, they'll destroy everything you built. It's not about money. It's about mindset. It's not about inheritance. It's about instruction. That's the key. And don't just pass it down, pass it across. Mentor your peers. Support your community. Build a circle that multiplies growth. When you teach others to rise, you reinforce your own foundation. When you elevate those around you, you raise the environment that supports your legacy. That's how dynasties are built. Not through isolation, but through elevation. Earn it, guard it, pass it on, say it again. Earn it, guard it, pass it on, because that's the cycle of greatness. That's how impact survives time. But let's be honest, this level of thinking requires emotional maturity. You can't protect what you fear losing. You can't teach what you haven't mastered. You can't pass on what you don't value. So start with yourself. Build the mindset before the empire. Strengthen your character before your bank account. Because the way you handle $1,000 will determine how you handle 1,000, and the way you lead yourself will determine how you lead generations. This is where you evolve from earner to educator, from builder to protector, from successful to significant. Significance means your success still speaks when you're gone. It means your name carries weight beyond your lifetime. It means your legacy becomes a lighthouse for others to follow. That's the goal. You have a choice. Spend your wealth or secure your wisdom. Consume your success or continue it. The difference between a rich person and a generational leader is simple. The rich enjoy wealth. The leader ensures it endures. You've worked too hard to let it fade. So build the walls. Teach the lessons. Pass the torch, because wealth unprotected dies, wisdom untaught disappears, and legacy unpassed ends. But if you earn it with discipline, guard it with integrity, and pass it on with intention, you become timeless. That's the key. Earn it, guard it, pass it on. You've just heard the rules. The real question is, will you follow them? Because wealth doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for your doubts or your drama. Wealth obeys order, discipline, obsession, calculation. Stop hoping for opportunity. Build it. Stop seeking comfort. Conquer it. Stop chasing motivation. Replace it with mastery. You don't need more time. You need more truth. You don't need a miracle. You need movement. So today, make the vow. No more wishes. Only rules. Write your rules. Live your rules. And remember, the world doesn't pay dreamers. It pays doers. Be one of them. Starting now, visit us daily for more book. Thank you for listening.